Welcome back to the Game Plan NFL Week 10 DFS and Betting Angles Breakdown. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Game Plan NFL Week 10 Betting Angles Breakdown. My name is Kevin Allen, a.k.a. the Geek from DFS Army. I've got my man, John Statsational Alessia, top 10 DFS GOAT, number one sports bettor that I know. That's pretty good. What's going on, John?
It's high praise, man. It's high praise.
Top guy. You're my top guy. My go-to guy. Well, I don't know. Gargano's replacing you a little bit for me as my Italian buddy, my Italian like Goomba best friend.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm not jealous.
You're jealous. I knew it.
I am a little jealous of you and Gargano.
I knew it. I knew it. But I still got the love. And of course, the Game Plan is sponsored by Owner's Box Weekly Fantasy Sports. Love this site. You can play weekly fantasy sports over there. The NFL product they have is really cool because it is Superflex. And I love me some Superflex, right? And now they've got their NBA product where you can actually check it out for free. Use promo code NBA10. They give you a $10 ticket to enter their big NBA weekly contest, John. It's free. What are you waiting for? Free money? Oh, I hate free money. I don't want it. That's like going to the supermarket and they've got a buy one, get one free special, and you only buy one. Like, dude, the second one is free. So go check out Owner's Box Fantasy. Their NBA product is actually really, really cool because it runs over the course of a full week. So you can actually like set it up like a best ball where you have players. They only allow 6 point guard weeks, but you can put a player in there that has 7 or 8. Each they split it up. They split up their salary based on the number of games. It's a really cool site. And there's a lot of strategy that you can use to easily win if you're paying attention. So check out Owner's Box Fantasy. And of course, John is here representing the Sharp app. So make sure if you want John's betting picks, he is posting free picks every single day over at the Sharp app. They're smashing. You just got to download the app. Go to the iStore, the Android store, the iOS store, the App Store, wherever you get your apps, and you type in Sharp app. You can get the best bet tracking platform in the world. It track bets, compare odds, content, all focused on sports betting. So, and an awesome display for player props, which I love. And that's the thing I use the most. I go right to the game center, boom, hit the props. I can get all the props in one spot. I don't have to run around to 50 different books. And that's really, really great for me. It's helpful. So here we go. Game Plan, NFL Week 10. And, John, we do have a couple games on today's slate that really, or on the weekend slate that actually finally stand out as something as something to target. Let's put it that way. Right? We've had a hard time finding games to target. And now for the core 4, John, I'm going to tell you which 4 games we've picked out and we'll get started with it. But we got Packers-Seattle in a close game. We've got Vikings-Chargers in what seemed like it might be the best game of the week, but now I'm not so sure with the whole Chargers Vikings COVID situation. We'll talk about that. Atlanta-Dallas, perhaps. And Tampa, Washington, Washington bleeding points. So that's the core 4, and that's the format of this show. We're going to look at our core 4 DFS games to target, and then a brief look at all of the rest for some DFS or betting angles. John, are you ready for this?
As ready as I'm going to be, man.
Love it. All right, let's start with the first game on the core 4. We got the Falcons at the Cowboys. Cowboys at home, -9 favorites. Game total, 54.5 points. I feel like the Falcons, John, are like the most schizophrenic team of them all. They just will look like absolute dog shit one week on offense. And then they'll look pretty good. And you're like, who are these guys? And I still don't have a read. Do you?
No, because when you watch it, especially like Ryan looks pretty terrible. Like, he looks like his age. He can't move. He doesn't look that great. I didn't think he'd have anything close to like a game like he had last week in him. I didn't think he had many more of those to go. So he's proven me wrong there. But yeah, no, I agree with you. They have weeks where they just come out and look awful. I mean, they lost to the Giants this year. They've had some atrocious losses.
I definitely was not expecting what they did last week, and I feel even grosser DFS world to chase it. I don't like chasing a pop game from a guy that is only going to pop off a few times a year. It makes me feel all gross.
Yeah, it should make you feel gross. But just quickly on the betting angles on this one, the money's coming in on Dallas pretty significantly.
Interesting.
I think it's one of those situations. I think players now, bettors, really are buying into that narrative of good teams off a bad loss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no real data that supports that. Like,
there's data from this year.
This year
that strongly supports it.
Yeah, but long term, it doesn't necessarily. I've done that in the past, where I like that angle, but it's kind of caught up. Like the books have kind of caught up to it, and that's why you're seeing a line here that opened at 9 and is up to 9.5, 10 in some places, because the money is just coming in on Dallas. So what happens is the public now on these teams that are coming off a really bad loss, teams that they think are good teams or the elite teams in the league, they just always figure that was a one-off and it's a bounce back. And now you've got the double side of that, where Atlanta was on the road last week and they had a pretty impressive win.
Yes.
So,
it's like
you've got the double whammy here.
All the factors are in place for what we want to fade at the sports book. Everything. It's all in play in this game right here. But the sports book adjusted for it. Cowboys -9. It's a bit much.
It's a lot. It's funny. These are the two teams that destroyed survivor pools last week. Not Buffalo. Like, no one really had Buffalo left.
They had used Buffalo, right?
Yeah, Buffalo was pretty used, but Dallas losing and Atlanta winning were two of the bigger blows to people in survivor pools. So those of you who are in survivor pools and survive, pretty lucky. Did
you make it through, John?
I've made it through because only I'm in a few pools where I have a lot of entries. So I'm ahead of the game now when you figure out my equity compared to where I started. So I've got more entries relative to where I started than the overall market does in all my pools. But yeah, the one though on DraftKings, I actually had I had an option between the Saints and Baltimore, and I took the Saints. So that one I am now out on that one. So that was
Baltimore. Baltimore looks sketchy too.
They were sketchy. Certainly could have lost. They went to overtime, so certainly could have lost. It was. Listen, Pittsburgh was the other big one, and they could have lost on Monday night. It was a crazy week. We'll see what happens this week. If Dallas loses this week, it's going to really put people. A lot of people are going to win their pools this week with that, because we're down to so few and so many pools. But anyway, yeah, that's the story from the betting side. The public is going to be all over Dallas, and they'll be teasing Dallas down. They'll be, hey, Dallas is no way they lose 2 games in a row. But I think Atlanta's going to, at a minimum, I don't have a bet on this game, but I do think Atlanta will be able to score some points here. I don't anticipate necessarily Ryan having as big a game, but I do think Dallas as well. Like, if Atlanta's going to be in this game, it's going to be high scoring.
Yes.
So, I said that last week. Remember, I mentioned the Buffalo game where we were talking about the narrative, and I said you just don't need the comeback with Jacksonville. What did I say? Like, that game was going to be, if it was close, it was going to be 10-3 at the half. It was going to be 20. It wound up being 9-6. Like, that was a little crazy. But that's the only way Jacksonville was going to be in that game, if their defense somehow stepped up. They were never going to score. In this game, I could see Atlanta putting points up on the board, and that's how they would keep this game close. So I do like playing this game as a game stack.
Yeah, I agree. The way that the Cowboys offense has been operating, they are going to be comfortable sitting on the run if they're ahead in the game. So I don't think a Dallas dominates the game narrative leads to a tournament winning production upside from Dak or any of his pass catchers. My overall take on this game, and especially the downside, because it's really hard to play anybody. Like, it's really hard to like the players on the Atlanta side, and I'll get to them. But on the Dallas side, if CeeDee Lamb is going to produce enough to pay off his massive salary on DraftKings, he's up there with the studs. Dak has to be smashing. So the way I'm looking, and the same for Cooper, like, we're not seeing it's those elevated target share games. And actually, I'm going to throw in Michael Gallup in the mix as well. Now you've got Gallup coming back, and Gallup might be my favorite of them all. So the way I look at it, in a Dak spike game where he goes over 40 targets in the game, and ideally up to 50, which is something we saw a lot of last season when they played from behind. In that kind of a game, all the elements of the team are going to get uplifted. But if the game isn't this sort of high-scoring affair, then I expect Dallas to lean on the run. So game stacks are the name of the game for me exclusively. So if I'm playing CD, I do kind of feel that I need to bring it back with some pieces from the Falcons. Falcons got to be smashing. Dallas playing catch-up. So for this game, for me, is going to be a mix-em-up. I'll play Dak. I'll play Gallup. I'll play CD or Cooper. I'm going to throw in either... I mean, I don't love Gage up against Trey Diggs. I actually think he's probably unplayable. So it's probably got to be Kyle Pitts. It's got to be Cordero Patterson. That's the two on the Falcon side for me. And I'm not chasing Zacchaeus' score. I don't know. Fuck that. I'm not chasing that. I don't care what he does. I don't know. I guess I should, but makes me sick to do it. Zacchaeus with the 2 touchdowns, I think, last week.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. You can't chase touchdowns in this thing. Touchdowns are kind of fickle. But I think the 2 tight ends in this game are going to be key. So I like both tight ends. I like Schultz and I like Pitts. And I like Patterson on the Atlanta side of this. So those are the ones that I'd be focused on the most.
I have zero faith in a spike game from Cooper. Cooper's cheaper. Cooper's the play in DFS if you just want to play one of these guys, because Cooper and Lamb don't really have a very different outlook each week, and you can't pay all the way up. It's like $1,500 more for Lamb compared to Cooper. There's really no rhyme or reason to that, so I'm not doing that. But overall, Cooper might be a standalone piece. Gallup and Lamb for me are exclusively game stack pieces in this game. And I think Cordero Patterson's been doing the same thing every week. Expect 10 carries, 6 or 7 targets, and somewhere between 10 to 22 fantasy points. If you're cool with that on a 6K player, I guess he could spike beyond it a little bit in a crazy upswing type of a game. So I just go in understanding what the expectations are. All right, John, let's move on. Game number 2 in the core 4. We've got the Vikings taking on, where is it? The Chargers. 53-point total, 3.5-point spread. Chargers home favorites. I very much like the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, you would not be alone there. The public likes the Chargers. Minnesota, to me, is very underrated. Look at the games they played. They just have not been able to get over the hump and win those games. Arizona, I believe, was an overtime game they had this year. Last week was an overtime game, right? With Baltimore. They've been in real games so far this year. I mean, the losses that they had, I think, been losses, but they've been quality. Cincinnati in week 1, right? They had now the Dallas game. They lose without. They lost to a Dakless Dallas team, so that one was kind of painful. But the team, I think this is a better team that, for whatever reason, just has not been able to win games. So I think it's a better team than the market thing. Well, not necessarily the market. And I guess when I say the market, I'm gonna say the average player, the average sports bettor, is looking at the record, and I just think they're better than their record. Although, we know what Parcells said, you kind of are what you are. But I think this is going to be a tight game. The Chargers haven't looked great either. So I think it's going to be a tight game. I think if I had to lean one side of this game, I'm going to take it and hope I could find the 3.5 somewhere. And there are a few outs where you could get that. And I would lean towards the Viking side of this game.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the other side of it. And part of that is because my boy Kanger Minnesota special has fed me some information, and we're monitoring this, that a big chunk of the Vikings offensive line looks like they might be out with the COVID. There's a lot of contacts. We're going to get some serious info on this game. I bet it. And I bet it because I think that if the whole team is going to be out with the vid, that is a bad scene for the Vikings on the road.
I mean, it's certainly going to change things, but I'm going at it without.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not contrasting the GOAT. I don't do that. That's not me. I'm just saying there's a little bit of insider info, DFS Army style, that maybe there's some issues on the offensive line, which would be a serious problem for these guys. I do think the Chargers are a better team overall. So, hate the 3.5, love the 2.5 number, but I do think the Chargers are a better team overall. Now, as far as DFS angles go, so of course, reactionary as the salary algorithms are, very reactionary. All of a sudden, Keenan Allen is now elevated to Mr. Expensive, where Mike Williams is now in the 6K range. Keenan Allen, 600-700 above Mike Williams in salary on DraftKings. And I don't like that, right? Keenan Allen, not a guy who's popped off. He hasn't scored enough to pay off 4X on his current DraftKings salary, not once this season. Don't like it. The guy who does pop off on occasion is Mike Williams. So the Mike Williams side of the wide receiver split for the Chargers is the one I'm interested in. Mike Williams has a wide range of outcomes, but John, you know this very well, and this is like a big statsational philosophy. Like, I don't give a fuck if he has that bad game. What I care about are the times he has the good game, because if my lineup isn't winning or it's not taken first, it might as well take last. Don't care. So yeah. Mike Williams, if I'm just gonna bring this up because I wanna show the contrast on screen here so everybody understands what we're talking about. I'll bring it up, but if you look at what Williams does most weeks, oh no, this ain't gonna do it. That's Thursday Night Special. If you look at what Mike Williams does most weeks, he either pops off for 30 plus or he gets you like a 5. And 6,600 on DraftKings, back down to reasonable price points, 7, 4, 3, 39, 2, 36, 22, 22. So 6, 12, 8, and 24. Any of these, the 22, the 22, the 26, the 39, those are absolutely smash your, that's tournament winning value or really close to it at the bottom end of the range. And of course, these are your lineup is dead, shut it down, and, go watch The Bachelor. It's over. It's done. Go hang with your wife. Forget it.
Well, I'll tell you, this week, Minnesota has not been good against wide receivers.
No, they don't have anybody to stop this guy. And that's what it is. I think the past few weeks, we haven't liked Mike Williams because they've been facing elite cornerback play. And when you do that, okay, we're naturally just going to go away. I can actually kind of take you through it because we haven't been on Mike Williams for the last few weeks, perfectly for that reason. Philadelphia, Darius Hayward, Slay. You've got New England with they don't have anybody, actually. There's no excuse.
Yeah, but they've been really good. New England's been pretty good.
True. Overall. Baltimore with Marlon, Cheeto, Humphrey, right? So you have name brand cornerback play in some of these games that have been sort of holding Williams down. Is all right, you're going to fucking put him on Williams. We'll go to Keenan Allen. No problem, right?
The teams you rattled off are some of the top teams against wide receivers. Like they're 3 of the top 5 or 6 teams against wide receivers. They're now going into a game with one of the bottom 3 or 4 teams against wide receivers this year. So.
Which is another reason to like Herbert as well. So I like that side of the game. If Cousins popped off, I think last week, he could pop off again here, but the Chargers are one of the top teams against wide receivers. So I don't think it's as likely. I think what might help, I don't know if this helps. I actually think it'll hurt. I mean, I don't think the running game will be as effective if half of the offensive linemen are out this week. It's hard to really judge it right now because that information is not true or definitive in any way. So stay tuned on that. We'll see what happens. Dalvin Cook, do you care about the narrative stuff?
I'm not a big narrative guy. So.
I don't care. I want to point out I don't care about it at all. It's completely irrelevant to the game. Don't ever allow some stuff like that to affect a fantasy football or DFS decision. That's the way I would go. The opposite. If the field's like, oh, he's got problems, he's not going to play well, I'd go the opposite of that every time. Those narratives are bullshit. All right, next up in the core four, we've got Seattle taking on the Packers. Green Bay at home, 3.5-point favorites. The return of Aaron, perhaps. Not sure. What do you do in a game like this, John, where Russell Wilson's coming off a long injury, although I'm hearing he's looking good in practice, practicing in full right now. But scarier is the Aaron Rodgers side. Like, this guy, if he gets cleared to play, it's not going to be, it hadn't happened yet. So he definitely hasn't practiced yet. It's Thursday. Can he just come in and be fine?
Yeah, like, that I don't worry about.
What's that?
I don't worry about Aaron.
You don't worry about the fact that he hasn't played for 2 weeks. Maybe actually had COVID. Like, have you had? I mean, that shit takes some stuff out of you. Maybe sometimes,
possibly. Like,
I don't know.
But he hasn't had a bad. He has not had a bad. It's not like he's been out because he's sick. He's out because of these ridiculous rules that they put in place.
But he has COVID. He did get
He did get COVID, but he's been fine. He hasn't. I don't think he's had crazy symptoms. As far as I've heard. If
I don't know,
if you know something different.
No,
but I don't believe he's had anything. I think the general public is wishing he would die because that would feed the narrative. But
he's a monster.
Fine.
He's a monster.
Yeah,
because he chose not to get vaccinated. A monster.
He's also apparently allergic to one of the ingredients in the vaccine, which they specifically tell you not to take.
What do you think?
Vaccine he has an allergy to one of the ingredients.
Dude, I don't know. This show isn't for that. I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to do it.
But
yeah, I'm not going to go.
The point is, he is not. As far as I know, he has not been sick. He's not. It's not a shortness. I am not worried about him having not practiced in a couple of weeks. It's Aaron Rodgers, so that part I'm not worried about. I'd be more concerned with Wilson because it was an actual injury. And I always kind of question. I don't know specifically. I've read things about like hamstrings and how long, I was monitoring that with CMC where you don't want to take them first week back, second week, but it usually takes 2-3 weeks. I'm not 100% sure on an injury like this. Plus it's a quarterback. So, and Wilson does run a bit and, does use his legs, but not quite in the same way as a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray. So I think I'm going to just play this as if Wilson was 100% healthy and just go with it.
If we do that, this would be the best game of the week. Let me ask you this on the betting angles because I gotta dive deeper. If healthy Aaron Rodgers and healthy Wilson were coming into this game and we knew that in advance, do we think that the game total here would be 49? Because to me, I think the game total would be more like a 53.5. Like healthy Aaron coming off a good win. If this sort of mystery of the quarterbacks wasn't in play, do you think the game total would be higher, or am I misreading that? No, 49 sounds about right for this matchup.
It's actually, I think it's right. I mean, look at some of the games. Now, granted, all right, you got to throw the Green Bay game out last week. Wasn't Rodgers. Do we want to we keep totally punting week one with Rodgers.
You got to punt the week one.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
Great. But they did, what were their other games? And look at Seattle, right? So, I mean, what have been the scores of these games? Like, they're not. It's not a lock that this is going to be a smash game. We're looking at the fact that it's Rodgers and Wilson, but you always like to say how Rodgers likes to milk the clock.
He will milk the clock. When that turns off. So it's definitely not a lot. He will milk the clock, and by the way, so will Seattle. These are both teams. You're right. They're both teams that will milk the clock down. Seattle will play a close game, try to win it with the final drive. I don't think that's a smart move when Aaron Rodgers is opposing you. You got to build a 10-pointer. If you're going up against Aaron Rodgers, you just should. He's going to drive down the field. But both of these teams are perfectly comfortable milking the clock down. Aaron Rodgers never snaps the ball before a couple seconds left. That's what he'd do. Watch the games. You know what I mean? That's what he does every time. So you're right. But if one starts scoring, and this is where it gets a little lopsided, if one team's doing it, the other team's capable of coming back quickly. So I think there's the potential for it to pop, but I agree with you. I'm just at 55%. I think if it pops, it's going to pop well over 49 points. Like you can all of a sudden have a 69 point total, finish here if things go a certain way. But you're right. There's also two teams that will play conservatively if they can, and you might end up, looking at 17-23 going into the final drive of the game. That could happen as well. So I could see that as well. As far as the DFS angles for this, John, this is the ultimate game stack situation. I mean, I don't play, I don't play Aaron Rodgers that when it's not in a game stack. He's not the guy. He hasn't popped off all season. He tends not to. Coming off the vid, extra sketchy. And the same with Russell. I never play him unless it's part of a game stack, which is fine because some of these salaries for some of the guys in this game are really reasonable, and so you can just game stack it no problem. And the Seattle doesn't have good running back play anymore. They're just dealing with a bunch of garbaggio at the position right now. So the expectation for me, if you give me a healthy Wilson, DK Metcalf 6,800, Tyler Lockett 6,500. Both these guys in the 6K range. I mean, it's just a little bit lower. Like I'd much rather have DK Metcalf for the upside compared to Deontay Johnson, who cannot pass 23 fantasy points no matter how many times they throw to him. DK Metcalf has a chance, to pop off potentially in a game. He's got a couple 25 plus games so far this year already. Not to say, and I think he's got 30 plus potential any week because of his big playability. Tyler Lockett's been doing really well in games with Russ when Russ was healthy, had a couple of monster games earlier this season and even did pretty well with Geno. So, it's just two guys for Seattle, and I like that. It's very tight. It's just the two. They don't really have anybody else that they're messing with. And I don't think the running backs are going to play a major factor in this game. And then on the Rodgers side of the game, I mean, it's even easier. It's just Devontae Adams. I mean, if you're playing it. So, a stack might be some combination of, Metcalf and Adams. And I would even say that I like the idea of mini stacks where you don't even need the quarterbacks. You could just do like Metcalf Adams in a lineup together, or Metcalf Lockett in a lineup together. And just like, hey, that's my exposure to this one. That's a way I would approach it. Benjamin, happy Veterans Day to you, sir. To all of our veterans. Birthday.
I know we got Scotty on here as a vet.
I mean, DFS Army, there's no more veteran friendly place. We sometimes have little, internal disputes between our Marine crew, our Army crew, our Navy crew. It's all love here, though. We got them all in DFS Army. And as a matter of fact, in honor of Veterans Day, Ben, and you know this, we love our veterans. We honor their service. I really do. I'm such a pussy. Like I just have so much respect for these guys that go out and volunteer and love their country the way they do and go out and I love it, right? I have a lot of respect for it. So I don't think I would do it. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have had the balls to go to Afghanistan. And
it takes a special person, that's for sure.
It does. So in honor of that, guys, we love our veterans. We got a special. DFS Army has always done. Here it is. I love it. Here it is, man. DFS Army Veterans Day discount, guys. DM if you're a veteran out there, you've been thinking about signing up for DFS Army. You haven't done it. Hit up our Twitter at DFS Army. Let them know you're a veteran. We got a special code for you guys. All right, special military discount on Veterans Day. Let's do it. Hit us up. You get a special rate that no one else gets. Don't steal the valor, though.
Not even Gronk. Have you seen those commercials? The Gronk with the...
No, Gronk don't get a special rate.
Yeah.
No. All right. Atlanta down, Vikings, Chargers.
Well, just one thing on that Seattle game, though. The Seattle has been really bad against running backs. So keep that in mind.
Aaron, I didn't mention, you're right, Aaron Jones. I never, Aaron Jones, if you look at the running back position this week, it's hard to play Aaron Jones. And it's not because Aaron Jones is good. There's some really incredible standout plays at running back that you are going to want to play, and it's going to be hard to get them all in there. So Jones falls in a group of like, yeah, he's fine, but who's my guy this week? I mean, you're like, he's fine, but he's no Najee Harris. That's pretty much my reaction to every running back this week. He's fine, but he's no Najee Harris. It's going to go like that a lot. That's how this week is going to go. All right. Last game on the core 4. Tampa. Did I skip one? Tampa.
No, we got him.
All right, there we go. Tampa at Washington, or Washington at Tampa. Where is this game?
The game is, I thought it was down here, but
Am I tripping?
where is it on my sheet?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's in Washington.
Bucks at, well, I love that it's at Washington, because that gives Washington just that little bit of extra possibility of hanging in there for a little bit. So we got the GOAT, TB12, heading up to Washington, take on the football team, 51-point total, Bucks 9.5-point favorites. And you know me, John, I'm not a lay the points guy. I don't like big spreads like this, but I kind of think you lay the points here.
See, what scares me about you saying that is how high you were on Washington coming in.
Well, yeah.
And now obviously that's changed, but now it's like, have
I overreacted?
Right. That's my worry here. So I don't have a strong opinion on the game from a betting standpoint. The market, however, and the money is coming in heavily on Brady and the Bucks. So we're seeing the actual bets plus the money. It's all coming in on one side. It's all coming in on Tampa. Tampa's coming off the bye as well. So that's always so is Washington, right? I think they were both off last week. But yeah, this is it's a lot of points on the road. And as we saw last week, dogs not only can win, they can not only cover 9.5 points, but they can win outright. I'd be shocked here, as I would be shocked if Buffalo lost to Jacksonville, and they did. Yeah, I'd be shocked to see Washington be able to pull off the upset. But I think, the potential is there, and you always have to figure out how's it going to happen. I think this is another game where Washington might be able to put some points up on the board, which is why we have it in the core 4. Right? I don't see, this is not a game that's going to be 14-10 at the half, 21-17 final if Washington covers this game. I think if Washington covers this game, it's because they put up 24 points. So, it's not what so on the projections there, what are you getting? 54 points there, 32-22. It's right. So right where the market is as a 10-point spread. But yeah, I would agree with that, where I would say it's going to take 24 points for them to cover this game. And if they get 24, that means Tampa's going to probably be in the high 20s to low 30s. And then you've got the makings of a potential game stack here. And I don't we know the scenario with Tampa. You don't play running backs against them. That has not changed at all. I mean, that's the one constant that's gone on for the last 2 years now. So that makes life easier. Like, okay, here's a team that can't stop the run or is dominant against the run and absolutely cannot stop the pass. Like, Tampa's been terrible against the pass. And these are two defenses that were phenomenal last year. They played each other in the playoffs, right? And that was a game. I thought that was a big test for Tampa last year. I said it before. I said, boy, if they look strong offensively against Washington, that's how good Washington's defense was. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. And they looked pretty good against Washington. Not great, but they looked good against Washington last year. Now Washington can't stop anybody. So you're looking at one of the worst teams, the worst team against quarterbacks, against Brady, who has been the second best quarterback in points so far this year, behind Lamar Jackson. And, Lamar's doing a lot of that with his legs. So they're facing the best passer so far this year. I mean, this is going to be this could be fantasy gold right here on the Tampa side. And if we could get that really weak, Tampa is the worst team against the wide receivers this year. So you've got the makings of it. The
Bucs side of this game. No Antonio Brown, probably no Gronk. That means we get a concentrated offense. Brady, Godwin, Evans. That's it. Tyler Johnson. All right, whatever. A little OJ Howard, Orenthal James Howard. Fine. If Gronk doesn't play, I'm okay with it in stacks. You know, it all focuses on the GOAT and the arm of the GOAT, TB12. So yeah, I mean, Washington giving up a lot of points, and I think you could play the Buck stack no matter what happens with Washington, which means it's not a forced automatic you must stack this game situation for me. But I think the Bucks are going to do their thing no matter what. They're going to be throwing for touchdowns. Got to watch out for Godwin. Got the foot issue right now. Yeah, it is definitely something to monitor. And if Godwin is out, I do have a little more concerns, but it might just open up like min salary Tyler Johnson as like an actual viable DFS play. So I'm cool with it either way. I like Brady a lot less if Godwin is out, but again, it elevates. If Godwin is out, it really elevates OJ Howard and elevates some of these cheaper turds. So it's not a bad thing for us DFS wise, because a lot of people won't understand that angle. But Godwin out will elevate some of the cheap turd wide receivers on Tampa or tight end. So that actually works out better in a lot of ways. Mike Evans, great play as well. And the flip side is the nice thing about Washington is they only throw to one guy. The reason I'm low on them, John, is I get the defense. It has not been what was advertised, and it's inexplicable why. There's no reason. They have the same group of players there. So that is a bit of a mystery. Like, why are they not good when they were so good last year? And I have no answer for it. I don't really understand it. It's the same team, but they only throw to one guy. The issue with Heineke is he overthrows. I don't know if it's a mental thing. His accuracy is not good. And I saw a different guy play that was more poised and the accuracy was okay. And I actually think, John, I think it's just mental. I think some people can't relax. Like the difference between a NFL backup and an NFL elite starter is probably a lot more mental, more often than not than it is physical. And I think it's mental with him. He just cannot keep the throws down. You know how like a pitcher, they get a little excited, they can't get the fastball down over the plate. I get a little bit of that with Heineke, where he gets a little excited and he just cannot, he's overthrowing his wide receivers constantly. And I've seen him not be that way at times in his career, which tells me, and maybe I don't know, maybe coming off a break will relax him. We might get a different version that's a little more chill, delivering passes with a little bit of accuracy. Washington didn't do too many favors just having the one wide receiver on the team either. They really needed a second guy. So maybe somebody will emerge, but you really can't play Antonio Brown here, not in Antonio Gibson here. It's not the style of game that would favor his play. I don't, I'm not benching him in my season-long league, by the way. I'm just like, in DFS, I'm not actively targeting players against Tampa at the running back because he can catch a pass and go for a touchdown, which is why I'm still going to play him in my season long. I don't have a choice. But in DFS, there's no reason to force it. And on the Washington side, I think there's a lot of goodness. The biggest question mark for me, you're not on the Tampa side is, it's not like they're projecting for this great amount of rushing yard totals. It's all via the pass. So 360 passing yards. That's the expectation here. Washington elevated passing for their team at 258. I like it both. So yes, definitely a game. I'll be looking at game stack and bring it back with Terry McLaurin, Brady, Evans, McLaurin, Brady, Godwin, McLaurin, Brady, and two of his pass. Actually, I always play Brady +2. So it would be Brady with, Evans and Godwin, or Evans and OJ Howard, or Evans and Tyler Johnson, some combination of two. But Brady not getting there if he's not dragging two with him. Brady +2.
I agree with you. I've got so I take a look at where these teams have scored and what they've given up to positions. So since I've been doing it this year, and then I project that out with a regression, linear regression model. But this is the highest projected quarterback and wide receiver combination in Tampa that I've seen so far this year, which, for the reasons that
the highest of the year. Yeah. What more do you need to know? The highest of the year, especially with a diminished amount of pass catchers for Tampa. You got to stay on this trend until Brown and Gronk come back, and then they spread out the targets, and it becomes much more difficult to figure out where the football is going. Right now, we have a pretty good idea of where it's going. Don't skip this one. This is a really, really prime target game for this week, guys. Do not blow it.
By the way, talking about that model, Geek, do you know what position's been the most predictable?
No, I would love to
based on points.
Okay,
just on historical points for the season. It's been wide receiver by a decent margin.
So
now that's as a group, not this particular player, but as a group. So
in the power rankings model, you're saying I can rely on the wide receiver projections to be relatively accurate.
Well, in my model where I break it down, I have a model that I use on my own that I give you guys the snippets of here on the show, and that's based solely on teams, how much they've given up to a position and how much teams have scored at that position, and then what they should do against each other. And of all the positions, the wide receiver has the best predictability of all of the positions. So I feel pretty confident that we'll get a lot of points here out of the Tampa wide receivers.
Mayhaps we can add a tab right there.
Yeah, I've contemplated it, man, but it's my own little secret weapon. But I've been contemplating throwing it up there for you guys.
All right. We'll talk after the show. I need to know. All right. Moving on. Here we go. So that was a core four. Now we're going to get into just the rest of the games of the week. There were some exciting games, definitely some big DFS and betting angles to cover. So let's get started. Okay, the Saints Titans. Now, this didn't make the core four because it's a 44.5 point total, but I'm obsessed with this game from a betting angle because you would think that the Titans at home against the Saints would be favored, I would say, by like 9, 7, 7.5 in the spot. Yet here we are, Titans only 2.5 point favorites. Titans who have beaten the Rams, they've beaten the Bills, they beat all the good teams. What's going on here, John? Tell me.
Yeah, I thought that too. When I first looked at it, I'm like, kind of surprising. Then I looked at the power ranking model. I had it right at 3. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're looking at something similar here than as I am. I got it 25, 22, 47. What's the total?
Yeah, I mean, that's damn close.
Total, yeah. So
44.5. It's damn close.
Yeah, so I got a little bit over that, which seems to make sense.
But I mean, my goodness, yeah, you're right spot on here.
The market, and what's scaring me about this game from a betting standpoint is I would have thought everyone would have been hammering Tennessee. And they're on Tennessee, but it's not as much action as I anticipated.
Really?
Yeah. So I find it odd. I would have put this as another game because Tennessee has just looked so good as of late. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that people are still remembering the fact that they lost to the Jets. Usually bettors don't have that long of a memory. It's more about what happened last week. So I find it interesting. They've beaten the top teams out there. I think when I was watching Sunday Night Football, they were talking about, well, who's the best team in the AFC now? And it's been a week by week basis. And they're like, well, maybe it's Tennessee, which I don't think it is, but
no.
But I find it, I don't love New Orleans all that much as a team. The quarterback play.
New Orleans got issues. Trevor Siemian at the helm.
I don't know why they didn't go. We thought they were going to go Taysom Hill last week. I would have just done that.
I think they
had experience doing it.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it coming off the. I don't really know, and especially their personnel doesn't favor Trevor Siemian. They have no wide receivers. Odell Beckham in the discussions. Probably a good place for him to end up, I guess. But no wide receivers on the team. They can't throw at anybody, so they have to run the football. Their whole game revolves around throwing to Kamara, I guess. And now Mark Ingram's in there. It's a shit show. I don't really get it.
Yeah, they made Atlanta's defense look really good for most of that game. I didn't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't know why Siemian would be the guy, but he was. And I was just waiting for them to, like, at halftime, to just bring Hill in and say, all right, enough of this. I mean, we've seen Siemian, enough of Siemian, but they didn't do it. Maybe because of the injury with Hill. Maybe Hill's not 100% ready to go. I don't know.
Concussions, that's not how concussions work.
Yeah, I know.
You're either concussed or
you're either ready to go or you're not.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, to be honest. And I think this line is weird. But the fact that you're telling me the public isn't all over Tennessee is now throwing me for an even bigger loop, to the point where I was just thinking, listen, if the books are going to suck in all the money on the Saints and they're just going to be super liable if the Saints win or cover the spread, I'm going on the book with the books, and I can't bet Tennessee. I don't want to be going up against all of the sports books. That just seems stupid. I was going to say there's no reason to ever do that. There's no reason to ever make a bet like that. You just don't do it. But in this case, I'm not sure what's going on here from betting angles. As far as DFS goes, the only thing that I'm interested in is the Tennessee passing game. New Orleans stops the run. Tennessee doesn't really have any running backs anymore anyway. They don't give a shit. So Ryan Tannehill's expectation for passing totals would be elevated in most scenarios. It elevates even more for me because this game is close. The low scoring spread aside, Titans don't throw to a lot of guys. They have two that they throw to, and that's it. And then Jeff Swain. Like, they only have two guys that they throw to. You don't have to worry about all of these other people. It's just the two. And the fact that the Saints stopped the run tells you that most of the scoring should come off of the arm of Tannehill. So, whereas I don't normally target quarterbacks in 44.5-point total games, and I don't think this is a high-scoring game. Don't get me wrong. I do like the pass catchers. I like AJ Brown's a little too spendy for me, but Julio Jones, fully healthy, maybe at 5,600 minimum, sort of a cheapest price of the year level for Julio Jones. He's still Julio Jones. A healthy Julio is going to help. I want to come up with a rhyme. Like, a healthy Julio helps you have. Nah, forget it. I can't do it on the spot. Healthy Julio. No hurt Leo this week. We're going with health Leo. That I like. Health Leo, not hurt Leo this week. All right. I'm moving.
Glad you like it, man. You're very pleased with yourself.
You don't like it.
Yeah.
Health Leo. Health Leo.
No, because you know what?
It's the play on his name, because
you come up with these names, and then I wind up mispronouncing everyone's name for the rest of the season because, like, all right, Julio is fine, but then you start. Leo. I'm still calling the guy friggin' Herbert or whatever, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Bear.
Yeah,
a bear.
I'm like, it's fucking Herbert.
There was another one that I came up with. Yesterday for NBA, Terry Rozier.
You're big in, like, you like to convert everyone to French.
French is a big one for me.
Yeah.
Rosier. Okay. Hurt Leo turned into health Leo.
But let me give you here's the thing. You had the power rankings up there. That's based on Derrick Henry being in, right? On Derrick Henry outside of last week, he wasn't there, and they're still real low. Not real low, but 100. That's like, we see Tennessee every week is projected for like 150 yards. So what New Orleans has been really, really good against running backs.
Yeah, they're going to stop the run.
Yeah.
You're going to stop the run.
So you can't even touch the Tennessee running game.
Well, I mean, McBitcoins, a.k.a. McNichols, he's more of a pass catcher.
Use him in the passing game.
Yeah, he's more of a pass catcher, and you can play McBitcoins in this one. He didn't do well last week, but what you don't want to touch is old man Pointerson. Adrian Pointerson is now Adrian. No, we don't want none of that. Somebody's trying to trade me Peterson in my dynasty league for a third. I'm like, get the fuck out. I didn't bid for him. Why are you trying to trade him to me?
You know who else is really good against the run? It's Tennessee.
Been pretty good this year. And New Orleans projected for season low level of run. I didn't even know Tennessee was that good against the run.
They've been pretty good.
Saints can't throw, though. What are they going to do? Can't throw the football.
Well, these are two. It's funny. They're two really good teams against the run, or really good and pretty good, and two awful teams against wide receivers this year. So,
unfortunately, New Orleans doesn't have any wide receivers, so it's irrelevant. No. Actually, they do, and Traquan Smith and Marquise Callaway, but especially Traquan Smith is priced actually in play here because it's hard to run on the Titans. And of course, the Titans passing game, do with it what you will. They only throw to two guys. That's always a nice thing. And a bunch of tight ends, like it's just two wide receivers. And one of them happens to be incredibly cheap. Hashtag just saying. All right. Next up, we've got the Jaguars heading to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Jaguars just beat the Bills. Therefore, we should consider them one of the best teams in the AFC because Bill Parcells says you are what you just did last week. And last week they beat the Bills. Now they got the Colts in the Dome. Colts are 10.5-point favorites. And, again, I'm not a lay the 10.5 guy, especially on the Colts and Carson Wentz and hate the face and all of that. But any betting angles for you in this one? I don't think you can bet the Jaguars ever.
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love the game from a betting standpoint, but not surprising. I mean, there's no money on Jacksonville. Like, no one's betting Jacksonville. This is a feeling of, like, again, we talked about it. Crappy team off a great win. They're not going to come back and do it twice. That's the feeling. I do think the Jaguar team, this is not a good team. They're a better team than maybe they had they're a bottom third team, no doubt about it. But they're not the worst team.
You're saying they're less bad than maybe, the Jets?
I think the Jets are a little bit better than maybe they've
less bad than the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions are pretty bad. Houston's pretty bad. Like,
Houston's the worst team in the league.
Yeah. I think you'll see that Jacksonville gets to play Houston in the coming weeks, and we'll see how they look. But I think Jacksonville's gotten a little bit better. But I'm still not jumping in here at the 10.5. Colts scare me a little bit. This is a big talk about survivor pools. A lot of people had the Colts last week. If you didn't have them last week, you're probably going to have them this week.
This is the week to play them. You can be scurred all you want. This is the week to play them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go. Listen, you got to look at the numbers. 10-point favorite, 10.5-point favorite. Still, the odds are highly in your favor here that the Colts win this game. So,
in Survivor, does it get to, at this point in the season, does it get to the point where, like, early in the season, we're kind of like avoiding these like really obvious the top Survivor play of the week plays because, hey, everybody's going to be on it. Let's wipe out most of the pool. Are we now to the point where it's just like survive? We're in Survivor mode. Like, hey, I don't care what the best game of the week. 70% of the pool already used the Colts, so I can get on it. I'm not getting on chalk Colts anymore. I'm just getting on the right play.
Yeah, it's totally. If you watch the show, I got the Scratch and Survivor show on. It's so hard to do that show because it's really dependent on how many people are in your pool. So, like last week, my brother was in a pool that only had 6 people left. He had the Colts, and one other person had the Colts available to them. So, and he, not that I swayed his decision at all. He was on the Colts from the get-go. I said, you have to play the Colts because only one other person can. There's a chance you might take the entire pool down if that other person doesn't take the Colts. Sure enough, the other guy didn't take the Colts, which was idiotic. And now he's down to 2 people. The only other person who won took Pittsburgh. So in those situations, it's situationally dependent. If you're in a large pool, you may say, I'm going to take a shot here and on some other teams and whatnot. So when you get down to the end, it's very much game theory and who other people have. And it's the fun of it.
So, all right, DFS angles real quick here. There's I'm not a big there's a couple pieces actually on both sides of this game that I think are interesting. Of course, Jonathan Taylor's one of the standout plays of the week for me. Again, he's in a zone where he's not a must play because there are 6 other really, really great, 5 or 6 other really great running backs at the top of the charts, so to speak, this week. Taylor's right here next to, again, Harris is in the zone. McCaffrey, who I like, is in the zone. But I love Taylor. Dalvin Cook, if all was well, would be somebody that we'd be looking at, and Austin Eckler. So there's a nice little group up top here that all have some appeal. But Jonathan Taylor's up there, probably top 2 or 3 for me in the group. Again, Najee Harris is my favorite of them, but Taylor's right up there. He doesn't get as much of a workload or as much of his team's workload as maybe some others do, but his team runs more frequently to make up for it. So in the end, he winds up with similar amounts of opportunities to some of the other elite, but not quite there. Like he's got 21 in that last game against the Jets. He had 19, 21. That's about where he hangs out, in that 20 opportunities range, usually a couple of targets. He could definitely pop from there, but they're mixing in Nyheim Hines quite a bit. So it's a little sketchy. Got the mute button in time for that one. Just heads up there. Let's take a look at the power rankings for this game. And they tell us, where is it? My brains are
right up top.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so right up top. So we definitely like the rushing yard totals, but the passing yard totals are pretty middling for the Colts. The one player on the Jackson, and Michael Pittman's like the only player that I'm interested in. They don't have anybody else in the passing game, even of mild interest. So it's either Pittman or bust. Pittman priced up a little bit based on some big performances the last few weeks. So I'm definitely not playing Carson Wentz, or he's not on my radar as somebody I want to play straight up. I think the Colts should be able to dominate Jacksonville and make it more of a run the football a lot type of a game. I don't think it's a Carson Wentz pops game. Could happen, could be wrong, but that's how I'm playing it. And on the Jacksonville side, Dan Arnold is like the only piece that I want. Dan Arnold, that's my guy. Okay. 7 targets on average every single week, 7 to 8 targets since he's been sort of on the team. Lawrence loves his tight ends.
Colts, terrible against the tight end.
Colts really bad, ranked, I think, 27th against the tight end position. There's nothing like Dan Arnold is my chalk cash tight end this week. There's some other spots you can play, but Dan Arnold is my chalk cash tight end of the week. 27th against the tight end. Look at these targets: 7, 8, 10. I mean, 8, 10. He's had a 10 target game. His target expectation is exactly the same as the tight ends who are priced at 5K.
Yeah,
and 6K.
My projected points are just barely underneath Pitts.
Yeah, just barely underneath Pitts, and he's half the price. So Dan Arnold, I love it. John, in agreement, is my favorite tight end on this slate. I love the price point. There are other ones that I like, but he's the guy that I prefer. And do you have any other DFS interest in this game? I mean, Pittman a little priced up for the volume.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the whole ton here. Like you said, the power rankings kind of middling in yardage, and that's the same thing I'm looking at when I'm looking at the points that I'm expecting from the position. It's really Arnold. I don't like the running backs in this game on the Jacksonville side. I don't want to touch. Taylor, absolutely. I think only, and who knows? I think we talked about Hines. We were talking about that off the air the other day because I had Hines in another league that, of course, I didn't play last week. You just don't know. I'd rather stick with Taylor in this game, I think. Yeah. And,
I'm not chasing Hines. I haven't played Hines this year.
Not even to play him. I'm more worried about does he take away from Taylor in this game. But I think you can go ahead and play Taylor with some confidence.
I think he will take away from Taylor, but it might not matter. And Taylor could still smash.
It didn't matter last time.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. So that's the big concern. But I do have Najee Harris ranked above Taylor in my rankings right now going into the week. So they're about the same price. Could go either way. It's fine, whatever. But I have Najee.
I have him a touch over Taylor as well.
All right, nice. All right, Browns at the Patriots. Patriots 2.5-point favorites. John, it's at the betting handle, 2.5 points. Get a little close there. Brownie, Scotty Newman's in here. He don't like anybody talking about the Browns anything bad.
It's shocking that the money's coming in on New England.
It should be Browns minus 2.5? No.
Yeah, I mean it just looks confused because you're like, but I guess the Patriots have been playing fairly well, and my numbers I think were pretty close. I think you got to scroll up. I remember looking at this because this game confused me a little bit. You keep passing it. It's up top. Right there.
Yeah.
So I have this as an even game. Yeah. Yeah, of course we know the rushing numbers always for Cleveland.
Let me throw some more DFS angles at you that might have some betting relevance. Damian Snacks Harris got the concussion. Might not play. His backup, Raymondre Stevenson, also concussed. Might not play. Now, I don't know that they won't play, but they both, as of now, are not practicing and they're in the protocol. So that leaves only Brandon Bolden and J.J. Thomas. J.J. Thomas is a gadget player, not doing anything. J.J. Taylor, not Thomas, whatever. Gadget player, not doing anything. It means Brandon Bolden might be the workhorse back for the Patriots. And on the flip side, Chubb out with the vid. Hunt still out this week. That means Dearness Johnson is getting the full workload, full 159-yard workload for the Browns. So from a DFS angle, all in lock button play, chalk, whatever you want to call it, Dearness Johnson, best play on the slate. And the reason he's the best play, people ask me good chalk and bad chalk, and I'm going to get into this for a second. And I'm going to explain the difference between a Dearness Johnson and, some other running back like, I'll give it to you, Singletary, who we're going to talk about in the next game. The difference is, right, both of these guys probably have the full workload. The difference is Dearness Johnson is on the team that produces fantasy points to the running backs regularly. It's expected that a Cleveland running back will be heavily involved because that is the style of football that the Cleveland Browns play. On the flip side, whereas Devin Singletary's matchup is on paper better, we'll see it right here in the numbers. Actually, I'm a little surprised that this is how terrible the Jets defense is. But, Singletary's on a team that doesn't regularly produce really good fantasy outcomes to the running back position. So there's a much higher bust possibility with Singletary, who I also like, than there is with Dearness Johnson on a team that is a run-focused team. So
let me give you the number on Cleveland running backs this year for fantasy points above average of the teams that they've played. It's at the running back, 12.64 points above average so if a team gives up 20 points on average, they're scoring 32. And think about, I'll just tell you, the second best team is Tennessee, and that's mostly Henry, and he was 7. So there's a significant difference. Now, in the past, of course, that's been chopped up between a couple of running backs. So that, to your point, it's smash time.
It's smash time. It's smash time, guys. I need a graphic. Smash time. Smash time. Somebody make me a graphic. Smash time. I love it. That's a John special. Watchers, make us a smash time. Let's go. Let's get that going. All right.
That used to have different meaning 20 years ago in my life, but now it's all about fantasy football.
I don't know. That's an era long. But that smash time, I never get smash time, so I don't know. I'm married. All right. So New England, I'm not interested in anything on the Patriots. No, actually, I will say there's some smidge of interest in Brandon Bolden if he's the only guy. You could play some Brandon Bolden if he's the only guy. He catches passes. He does everything that you need out of a running back for super, super cheap. So actually, I will have some interest there in Brandon Bolden if the other two are out. And of course, Cleveland, we're going to smash time with Dearness Johnson. Okay, moving on. Bills at the Jets. 12-point favored Bills taking on the Jets, who have the great white hope at the helm, Mike White, El Savior, as we call him in New York. He's known as El Savior, which means the savior. That's what Jets fans are calling him. Did you know this? It's going around in New York.
Yeah, I've heard the rumors. I mean, listen, I've seen Tom Brady in my lifetime. I've watched Kurt Warner.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm thinking this is the next one.
What round was Tom Brady drafted in?
6th round.
What round was Mike White drafted in?
You're going to tell me he was a 6th round draft pick? I don't even know.
I just made it up.
I don't know.
I just made that up.
He was drafted by who? The Cowboys, or who was it? Not the Jets, obviously.
It could have been Cleveland. I'm not even sure. It's some Midwestern team. I don't actually remember who is. Vikings, maybe something like that. But this feels a little bit like the emergence of the Kirk Cousins behind RG3.
Kurt Warner,
man. John didn't.
It's Kurt
Warner. John, is why we need the smash time graphic on the screen, because everything we just said was Gary still needed to confirm it.
Yeah, no need
with
to.
us.
Right, you're taking Johnson in cash games.
But if we put smash time on the screen, Gary, would that have been enough to be like, oh, I know what's up. It's smash time. Let's fucking smash that button, and then we wouldn't have needed to confirm it. Like, that's what I'm saying. We need the graphics smash time. Smash the lock button. Yes. So with the Jets here, Bills, they're going to do whatever they want. They're going to do, Josh Allen's coming off that horrible game. You start off a dud. They don't need, the Jets are going to have a hard time. Jets are, keeping up in this game? I mean, can they keep up? Can you bet the Jet side of this?
Dude, the money and the tickets are like 50-50.
Yeah, because it's great white hope. I told you, Mike White.
It kind of sucks that he got hurt in that game last week. I was really looking forward to watching him play after the really good game that he had 2 weeks ago. So we'll see. I mean, he'll be tested this week, that's for sure. But what I watched of him in that first week looked a whole lot better than Wilson, that's for sure. But then, Johnson came in and had a monster game last week. Josh Johnson, who we haven't seen in a while, who, most people probably didn't even realize he was on the Jets. So we'll see. I mean, the Buffalo defense, I'm not typically targeting against them, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. It's hard. It's hard to know. Was it a one-off sort of thing for the kid White? He did look good in the brief amount of time he played on Thursday night as well, but we'll see.
He looked great for that. That's what I'm saying. Like, even for the quarter that he played, the kid looked good. And you know what? The team is telling you they like him for real, because Zach Wilson can play this week, but they're not playing him. There's something going on in Jetstown. There's something going on here. I'm telling you. All right. So if you do want to sort of play this game for DFS purposes, I think the Bills side, I'm just gonna throw the statistic at you, John. Stephon Diggs has yet, and we're week 10, has yet to produce a tournament-worthy score. He has yet to cross, you cannot count on him for 10 plus targets each game. And he has not yet once been worth playing in DFS, not once this season. They're spreading the football around. So even if you play Josh Allen, he's much better paired with Manny Sanders or Dawson Knox if Knox plays, or some non-Stephon Diggs pay-up option. The other issue is, as you know very well, on your power rankings, not on the power rankings, but on your QB sheet that we have as well, the QB stack sheet, you really want a cheaper stack. Like the points per dollar value on the stack, 60 points isn't as valuable for me between a combo of QB and wide receiver when both of them are priced up massively. So there is merit to stacking Josh Allen, but I'm much more interested in stacking him with the turtlier priced guys like Beasley and Manuel Sanders, both of whom their prices have risen to the point where they're fully baked in all of the value that they might have. There's no bargain on any of these guys that are tied into Josh Allen. And I kind of like Devin Singletary in this game. Devin Singletary is going to be the guy that doesn't have to compete. The Jets are the worst team against the run, and your own power rankings. So I want to go to reference this, John. 141. So the Bills are not even a running team. They're not a team that produces above average rushing expectations. But the Jets are so bad against the run that I believe, let's take a look at the main sheet to see if I'm right. Hold up. Let's see if we can see this. I don't think the reason that is happening. Where are the Bills? Here we go. Bills offensive
rushing. They're slightly above.
They're almost average, right?
Yeah.
This is like very mildly. So what is the number that's producing this outlier? It's this.
See that. Here's the thing with that number. So that number is a lot more Josh Allen. If you look at Buffalo from a fantasy points by position, they've been really terrible at the running back position, right? But the Jets
minus
are
38
by far, like, it's not close, right? So the Jets I gave you the whole thing with Cleveland. Well, the Jets are the flip side of that as what they give up. They give up almost 13 points over the average of the teams that they play to the running back. The next closest is Detroit at 8. So that just gives you an idea of how bad they've been to running backs. So that's why. But again, the reason that we like Johnson better than Singletary is because Johnson's playing a team that's terrible against the run, and they are focused on running the ball.
Yes.
As opposed to, there's a chance that Buffalo just says, you know what, we're going to continue to do what we think is good, and what we're good at, despite what the Jets are bad at, because we're just much better than them, at what we're good at anyway, and we're not going to change our game plan. I think that's the risk that you run here with Singletary.
100%. That is exactly right. Singletary going to get all the touches, amazing matchup, all the goodness, except just the Bills are not always going to focus enough on the run to produce 20 carries, even when they have two running backs or 20 touches, opportunities for running backs, even when there are two or one, it doesn't matter. But with that being said, there's also some incredible, attractive running backs to pay up for on the slate. But again, with all of that said, Devin Singletary is a really good fucking play.
It's a good play. The one other thing I would say is, a lot of these statistics are without White as the quarterback. Now, if this kid is going to play as well as he has, that changes what the Jets give up to running backs as well, because now you're going to get teams throwing the ball a whole lot more. A lot of that those running back numbers were the fact that, the Jets are down in games and teams are just pounding on them. But if this kid's going to score with you, then you're going to have to throw the ball as well. And then, so that's another scenario that can happen to diminish some of Singletary's returns.
Damon is over here throwing some cold water on the Dearness Johnson all-in play, talking about Chubb's got 2 negative tests in 24 hours.
That would certainly change it.
That would change everything. So, of course, if Chubb plays, shift your interest from Dearness Johnson over to Chubb, and Chubb will then split with Dearness, and then you can no longer smash button Gary. So he's only a cash lock if Chubb is out. Let's clarify that. Oh, okay. So Damon's saying if he needs to. I don't think he's getting. I think he got the vid. So I don't think it's like a false positive. I think he has COVID. It's not that common that people false positive for the vid.
I don't think you get false positives. You get false.
You do get false. You do.
No, you get the
PCR, but not the other one. But I'm saying you do get false positives, but like it's not that common.
You don't get false negatives.
There's no false negatives from what I understand, but there are false positives. So yeah. So all right, Damon, you scared the shit out of me, bro. Come on, it got me nervous. I'm like, what? He's had 2 already? What? No. So if he has the vid, he's not gonna. He's not going to have that happen. All right. So Jet side, you know what? We spent a lot of time in this game, probably too much, but Jet side, any interest in anyone? Michael Carter, you want to go back to that? I mean, it's the Bills defense. They're good, but it is Mike White. Got to play the Jets. Corey Davis.
Yeah, it's going to, I think you could. Yeah, maybe some Davis. I think, the numbers are hard. This one's going to have.
Forget the numbers. Throw your numbers away. Sometimes you got to
throw the numbers out. So
this is, by the way, Great White Hope. Is that like? You think you can catch on? I'm trying to make it a thing.
Who knows?
Is 2022?
Yeah, 2021.
Is it too late for that?
People might.
His name is Mike White. It's not like the Rocky thing.
Listen, I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
His name's Mike White.
It's Jerry Cooney all over again, man.
I'm fucking getting canceled. His name is Mike White.
Do you remember Jerry Cooney?
No.
Jerry Cooney, the heavyweight. He fought Larry Holmes.
Dude,
he's a New York guy.
I don't know anything about that.
Jerry Cooney was the Great White Hope, and then
there was only one Great White. Tommy Morrison was the only Great White Hope.
No.
Tommy Morrison.
Tommy Morrison sucked.
Yeah, but he was he was the hope. The hope was dashed.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. All right. Don't cancel me. Detroit Lions, Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 8.5-point road. Wait, home? Oh, Heinz Field. Yeah, home favorites. Steelers 8.5-point home favorites. Lions coming off probably the worst played football game in the NFL this year, and that includes the Jets, and that includes the Jaguars, that includes the Texans. Nope. The Lions have the distinction of having played the worst game of the season when the Eagles came in and absolutely manhandled them. Now they're going into Pittsburgh, tough place to play against the Steelers. Najee Harris on the Steelers team, in case you didn't know. Any betting angles here? Because I will say my boy Cuz Gargano did have a heavy 5-star play in this game.
He likes Detroit.
No, he loves Detroit.
Figured that. Yeah. I like Detroit in this game as well. Plus, this was going to open at 7.5. It's up to 8. What are you having it at 8.5 per now across there? 9 in some spots. It was going to open at 7.5, and and it moved up. But Detroit's coming off. They had the week off last week, right? Pittsburgh looked. I mean, they were in control of that game Monday night, and then really should have lost. I mean, they should have lost that game. That was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. I needed Pittsburgh to win the game. I wasn't disappointed in it, but man, the referees were rough. That Sunday night game and the Monday night game, that was not a good night for
it was
referees.
Ridiculous. They stole the Bears. I felt bad for Bobby Wow.
Yeah, well, I don't feel bad for Bobby Wow. I mean, Bobby Wow's had enough success, but
I mean, if your name is Bobby Moneybags, aka Bobby Duckett, aka Bobby Millions, yeah, I mean,
I love Bobby.
yeah.
But my brother's a Bears fan, so it never hurts my feelings when the Bears lose. Although he needed it in that survivor pool, that was the other pick that the guy won was Pittsburgh. So he would have won the whole survivor pool.
Could have been a nice payday for your brother. By the way, when John says his brother is in a survivor pool, his brother's not in the survivor pool like you and I that costs $100 to get into. Just be aware, his brother's in like the $1,500 entry survivor pool or the $2,500.
No, he's in. He's in just a regular old survivor.
Oh, it's a regular. Oh, no, I don't care about that shit.
He's in a small one that I used to go. I didn't even go in. It was small, which is why it's down to 2 people.
Oh, forget that stuff.
Yeah. No, the ones that I'm in are some pretty good money. So
these are heavy hitter games, but let's get back into this game right here. So Steelers at home again. Najee Harris, the clear best play on the slate. By the way, I want to point something out about Najee Harris because the Steelers aren't that good of a team overall. They're kind of a bad team right now with Ben literally lobbing up floaters. Like if you're watching the game, you see that the man cannot throw the football deep with accuracy or even with the spiral. It's weird to watch it. Like he's throwing up wobblers like you've never seen from Ben Roethlisberger before, but look at the usage on Harris. This is Le'Veon Bell. That might compare. I think I don't know if I said it. I wrote it in my notes for the way Harris is being used as vintage Le'Veon Bell. 25 opportunities, 29 opportunities, 30 opportunities, 27, 28, 20, 21. This guy's getting touches like Christian McCaffrey level.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, early in the year, he was on the field every play, and they just weren't using him a lot. I think they was kind of easing him into the offense. It's full on now. I mean, they're just using him.
20 points week 2, 31, 21, 25, 24, 21, 16. And these numbers reflect good opponents. Cleveland, Chicago, Seattle, Denver, Green Bay. Quality opponents. Now
the numbers haven't gotten there yet at the running back position because I think it's trending in the right direction. They're still under average at the running back position for total points
because they've been playing good teams and they're not that good. Now you get the Lions.
The Lions, they're king. Yeah, we talked about the Jets. Lions are the second worst team against the running back. And when you figure out the trend in the direction that Pittsburgh's been going, coupled with that, I think you have to like Harris this week. I think he gets a ton of touches and he'll do something with those touches as well. So look for him to get into the end zone at least once. This should be a pretty big, this will be another smash game for Harris. Even if Detroit's hanging in this game, I know the narrative is going to be, Detroit's going to, Pittsburgh go up 21 points and then it's all Harris. I think even if the game is tight, it's all Harris.
It's all Harris no matter what.
Yeah.
The Steelers offense runs through Harris. So you don't need narrative. Even if they're behind, it's all Harris. Harris is going to be in the game no matter what. The only question I have is, can you play Swift? I don't like anybody on the pass catchers for the Steelers, by the way. I don't like, Kevin, you don't like cheat code Deontay Johnson? Are you mad, sir? No. The problem is cheat code Deontay Johnson was priced at $6K, at $5,900, at $6,100, and his 18 to 22 point expectation was just fine, especially in cash games. Now that he's closer to 7K, you want to, I don't like it. I don't like the guy when he's priced next to DK Metcalf or Mike Evans or CeeDee Lamb or Stephon Diggs or all of these other studs. He's too close to the studs. Johnson is more of a cash game guy who's going to get you a consistent 18 fantasy, 16 to 20. He's not the guy who puts up 35. And so I don't love Deontay Johnson as a DFS play outside of maybe if you want to get a little silly in cash and kind of like build some floor with him, but I still think you can do better. As far as the Lions side, I don't like any of their pass catchers. Hawkinson, maybe a little bit. Freiermuth on the Steelers, always interested in the Freiermuth. That's my dude. But as far as the Lions, I think it's DK Swift or bust. You know, I don't really like Hawkinson in this spot. He's okay. I don't like the price. I don't want paying all the way up for a tight end that's probably only going to get 6 or 7 targets. I can get Dan Arnold and 6 or 7 targets for half the price. So do you think Swift is interesting here? My take was if Swift's going to be low owned, I'm interested in, but if he's going to be 15% owned in tournaments, I think that's probably more than enough. And I don't really need to go there.
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking at what I had him at.
One last thing though, if the great one, Anthony Gargano, is correct and the Lions are covering in this game or winning it, then Swift is going to be popping off. That's the only way it happens.
Yeah. I mean, the Pittsburgh's been good against the running back. We know Swift is not a traditional type of running back. He's going to really be their passing game. So I think you can throw a little bit of that out. I could certainly see Swift. I mean, as of right now, I was just looking at my numbers. I had him at like 7%. Seems about right.
So Football Jesus is asking about if it's too like if Harris will be all chalk and if he's fadeable, or like would it be a wise decision to fade him? I can pull up an ownership projection, I think, but you know what? I can pull up an ownership projection, but as of right now, I think with all of the studliness at the top of the list here, I don't think Harris will go so chalky that it's going to actually be a thing. Like I don't know that Harris will be so much higher owned even than Eckler or Taylor or any. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, 20, like low 20s, something like that on Harris. So you got.
We'll have to wait. There's no knowing on a Thursday what the ownership really. It's hard to predict.
It's always tough because of, we don't know the Chubb situation, and because that Johnson's going to be like 40% owned if he's playing.
I'll have him 100%.
Chubb. Right.
He'll be 100% owned.
He'll be 40%, but that of course changes everything when Chubb's in. So hard to project the ownership right now, but I think for Harris in the low 20s
or not. I think it might just be another 16%er, but at low 20s, I think is correct. That's what he should be.
Yeah, that's where you should be with him.
And I'm going to try to be over the field on Harris. I think he's just in too good of a spot. I have another guy who I love to go over the field on, but I want to get to that game. So I won't spoiler it. Here it is, though. It's up. So we could talk about it. We got the Panthers at the Cardinals. Cardinals home, 10.5-point favorites. Unknown quarterback situation for the Panthers.
Cam is back, man. He signed.
Did he sign during the show?
I was just there. Reading. He signed like while we were on the air.
Okay, so Cam has signed with the Panthers. Doesn't mean he's going to start this week, but he might. I think the Panthers' prospects are diminished with Cam. I actually don't think he's better. I think he sucks. And I don't like Cam at all. I think Cam ruins a lot. But can Cam deliver the football to Christian McCaffrey, which is really all we care about? I don't know. Now with Cam signing, the whole thing is upside down. But I will say this. Cardinals, I do not think that Kyler Murray is going to play. So I don't think he's ready. He's not practicing yet. It's Thursday.
He did not practice today again.
Yeah, he's not going to play. He's not going to play. We're going to get another week. Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is fine, but the offense functions a little differently with Colt McCoy in there. He's actually quite competent as a quarterback. He's fine. They clearly leaned on the Terminator, James Conner, last week, and I'm looking for more of the same. A little Eno Benjamin mixed in, whatever, but Chase Edmonds will be out. So got to have some interest in James Conner, even if Carolina is known as what does your number say? Because Carolina is a little bit of a bluff elite run defense, or is it real?
No, it's legit. Right? It's tough to run on them. They've been good. They've been good against across the board. They've been good against the above average against quarterbacks, up in the close to the elite level against running backs, and similar against wide receivers as well. So, you haven't gotten rich playing against Carolina all that much this year.
Arizona still does project for 103 rushing yards. A little bit of that is normally what Kyler Murray would do.
Yeah, that's Murray. So you gotta take that into account. Just looking at Arizona, I mean, Arizona's wide receivers are where they've made the most amount of points. But again, these are Murray numbers, right? So they're one of the top teams wide receiver wise, points for. It's like the Rams, Tampa, Dallas, and then Arizona. So Arizona and Minnesota are right there with each other.
They're those things, but they're not the easiest DFS play because they have all those guys.
Right.
I don't know who's back. Quite honestly, I don't know if AJ Green's over the COVID. He's an older man, so it could take him a little longer to recover.
He's in that high risk. Yeah, he's in that high risk age group.
He's in the high risk, like seniors.
Yeah,
older guys. They take a little longer to recover from the COVID. DeAndre Hopkins kind of banged up. Last week we saw that Christian Kirk is the guy when the others are out. So, if it goes that way again and we want to play some Christian Kirk, I'm fine with it. But beyond that, the Arizona side, I think it's James Conner or bust for me for the most part.
It's not a fun game.
And he's not in a great spot. And no, the one guy I do like, though, and it's just forget the numbers that you've seen. Christian McCaffrey might be sub 5% owned this week. And he is priced at the same levels as a lot of these other human running backs, and he's Christian McCaffrey. So all I'm going to say is anytime I can get very, very low owned Christian McCaffrey, I'm interested in that. He's back. He's got a full week. He played the last week, so there's a little more confidence in the hammy. There's a little more confidence in the health situation going on here. And he got a lot of the touches last week, 14 carries, 5 targets. It's not Christian McCaffrey level production, but it was something. Will he elevate back up to 28 touches? I don't know. Can't count on it. But if you're going to give me Christian McCaffrey at sub 3% ownership, I'm interested, period. Just purely as a DFS. Could Najee Harris still a better play, much safer, better matchup, all of that. But Christian McCaffrey is purely like a GP play. No one's going to play him. I'm playing him. Playing him some tournaments. I don't give a
it's a good GPP play. I said I had heard that from a doctor where with his injury, generally that first week back, you could figure about 75% of production. That's what's happened historically with running backs coming off of that type of an injury. And then it'll start to, of course, increase closer to 100% production. So he's probably not going to be 100%, but like you said, his 100% was 32 points. So if he can pop off at low ownership, there's potential there, but strictly GPP and not high. I mean, I'm going to be in the high single digits probably, and I'm not going to go crazy with it. And if he's not going to be more than that, I don't think. If he is, so be it. But you're hoping at that point, if you're 7 to 9% on him, and like you said, if he comes in at 3%, I'm thrilled. I'll take a shot.
Yeah, it's worth a couple shots is all. I still, like I said, I like Taylor better. I like Harris better. I like maybe Dalvin Cook better if the offensive line is okay. So there are all these other players that I probably like a little bit better in the zone, but it doesn't matter. It's an ownership play first and foremost, and you got to just do that in DFS and, close your eyes and hope for the best. It's not what I'm doing in my 150 entry or in my spy entry or anything like that, but I'm going to do it here. All right. I think this is the last game on the docket, unless we missed one. Let us know in the comments if we missed one here. But we've got the Eagles at the Broncos. Pretty gross game. Broncos 3-point favorites. Eagles coming in, up and down team. Really good game from Devonta Smith last week. Jalen Hurts doing his thing again last week. So he's been great all season long. It continues as much as maybe he's not been the best real-life quarterback. He has been a great fantasy quarterback, priced down to a middling level at this point. I didn't do a whole lot last week here, as we see, but I don't know how the hell they scored last week if it wasn't from him. But nonetheless, Devonta Smith had the big week. They're going into Denver. What do you think of the line here?
Yeah, on the line, I don't particularly care for this game at all. You're looking at the market is kind of confused on this one as well. So they're kind of 50-50. It's no one really has a strong opinion either way. I haven't seen any real sharp money coming in on this. So yeah, it's just not an exciting game. Not going to be exciting in DFS either. I mean, this is a game I can't really see anything good coming out of this game from a DFS standpoint. I don't even like any pieces. in this game. Like usually,
Yeah, it looks pretty gross it looks gross on both sides. You don't want those running backs on Philly. They're disgusting. Denver, the whole team. The only thing that you might be interested in here, I think, is like, I don't know, Cortland Sutton's kind of priced down a little bit. He pops off every once in a while. Like, keep him in your GPP pool, I guess. Denver, Jerry Judy's kind of cheap, and again, he pops off every once in a while. Those are the only sort of semi angles that I have, but even that, like, why bother? There's going to be other players in their price range.
Philly's been really good against wide receivers. They've been pretty good against the quarterbacks. And you're going up against a team that really hasn't produced all that much at those positions. I mean, they've been subpar pretty much across the board, fantasy wise. So yeah, I'm not getting overly excited about anyone in this game.
All right. I think that's going to do it for the Game Plan NFL Week 10. Guys, a reminder, if you want John's bets, his official plays, he's giving out a free bet of the day every single day on the Sharp app. And John's one of the sharpest handicappers in the business. I'm going to tell you that everywhere else, if you wanted a bet of the day from John, you'd be paying him $50 a day for that bet. Like, what you're getting for free on the Sharp app, compare odds, bet of the day from John, game centers with all the player props in one spot.
I'll tell you what everyone here, like DFS guys, would like. So we've got a big, we call it the Val's Big Payday Parlay.
They do love the big parlays.
Yeah, you could just play like a put $5 on these parlays. Val's been doing it like 4 or 5 days now, and has hit one already at like plus 1,200, 1,300. So yeah, you put a couple of bucks on them just for fun. They're lottery tickets. It's like playing DFS GPPs. Like, you don't go in expecting that you're going to win a big GPP. You put a couple of bucks on, like most people do, and you hope for the best. So these, actually, you'll have a better chance of hitting these than some of these big GPPs that are out there.
I love it. Yeah, the Val's Parlay, of course, it's going to hit like the plus 1,400 in the first week. So that was really, really cool. You only need one of those a year, by the way, and he's gonna nail a few more this season. Again, not financial advice, but if you want to get John's plays of the day, if you want to learn about sports betting with the Sharp Academy training course, we're constantly adding more evergreen sports betting strategy content. That is a major focus on the Sharp app. So you just check it out. It's a free app. You download it. You go to the Apple Store. You go to the Android store, whatever kind of phone you have. Type in Sharp app. You can get this app for free on your phone. You've got the Wise Guy Show with me, Gargano. You've got so many great pieces of content, great articles, and of course comparing odds and all the player props you need, and a great game center if you just want to experience the games a little bit differently. If you're not home, you got a bet you're following, go to the game center. You can follow the action. It's very, very cool. It's very, very cool stuff. So make sure to check that out. And of course, support our sponsor, Owner's Box Fantasy. They have a game where you just go to Owner's Box Fantasy, the NBA game. They give you a $10 entry to this game for free. You don't have to enter a credit card, nothing. All you do is go sign up. You got to use the link in the description of the show. You have to use that link, and then you use promo code NBA10, and they give you a $10 entry to the big NBA weekly contest. It's very cool, and go check it out for free. If you don't like the format, say fuck you. We're gone. But if you like the format, hopefully you win your contest. You keep playing. You don't put any money in. Or if you like the format, you go make a deposit. Do whatever you got to do. But go check it out. They support the show, and we love them for that. But we also actually love their game. So definitely check that out. And we will be back next time with another game plan. Good luck this week, everybody. We will see you at the top of the leaderboards. Later.